Hey, what's up guys, is MetaGamesGX here, and we are going to be doing our updated first place branded Despia deck profile. We've been banging these ones out. However, I did just win another tournament, went first place with this bad boy, and it's an updated build, so I felt like I really needed to update you guys because I found a better solution to this meta. Frankly, I was testing around with duality. We're not on duality this build. However, we are on a new build that allows us to play through hand traps and give us a lot more gas, a lot more cards, because that's what I think the deck needed. So before we get into it, please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy branded and branded related content. We upload deck profiles, duels, commentaries, podcasts, and other things such as that. We're going to be doing some VOD reviews shortly, so with the locals experience series, so definitely make sure you're subscribed for more. We update the branded deck profile every week or two because we go over combos and everything like that. So if you guys have any combo questions on how to play branded, please leave them in the comments below. We're gonna have a video coming out on branded matchups, so make sure to like and subscribe for that. I will get into the main deck monsters. We have 3 Fallen of Albaz. Obviously it's extremely standard, then 3 Aluber, so really nothing to say here. Super standard ratios. We are running some goo though, so we definitely want to max out on those darks as a little bit of a hint. We have the girls obviously, and a new one, Spriggan's Kit. We now run the kit because we want to maximize on our darks for this build. Kit is also a really good option to just have another name for a Luber. Since we are at 48 cards, we want to always see a starter. Sometimes we don't see the starter, and it's able to special summon. So it's really nice, and you can actually get branded Retribution out of the Banished. It helps with the grind game, especially when you don't run that duality. Helps with that grind game, which is also ever so important with this deck when you want to be winning those matchups. Then we have the other Fallen of Albaz cards, 2 Mercurier, 1 Albion, and 1 Despian Tragedy. So the Mercurier at 2 is brand new. You guys will see why, but we want it to be able to banish this monster a lot more because of the fact that it is, and also it's just a really good negate. It's one of the best cards in the whole deck because it just happens. It's like Ash. It's really hard to play around. It's your nib out, and having 2 of them is pretty good. It just sucks when you see 2 of them, but that's why we're at 48. We want to not be able to see some of these ratios. The branded is a deck that thrives when you play ratios above 40, because there's a lot of cards in the deck that you don't want to unfortunately see at 2 ofs, but you have to run at 3. So it's one of those things that you guys will see why it really does come up, and we'll get into more of the theory there. But then we have for the Bestials a Saronir, a Lubellion, and a Magnamut. Yes, we are back on the Magnamut. So why am I back on the Magnamut? We are trying to max out on darks for some goo coming up. Might be right there, but Magnamut's nice because it helps you unbreak your hands, and it's really good against Unchained Tearlament and the Unchained Tearlament and other decks like that. So it's really good in the main deck just for those reasons. It helps unbricks hands. It's also another dark. It just helps with the ratios. You guys will see why. Then we have 1 Dark Magician, 1 Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, and 1 Maximus. So we're back on the main deck Dark Magician. I was off it for a second, but I really think that you kind of need it. You need the ability to hard make the Dark Magician right now sometimes. Also, it's just really nice. It can break a board. You're out to a kashtira board in my opinion if you play correctly. And then the Maximus, and then the Nightmare, it's your best going first option. People will talk trash about this card even though it's one of the best cards in the game, and it gives this deck probably the best going first board. People stop playing branded because there's new decks, but it's still one of the best decks. Just because the pro players don't all play it doesn't mean it's not one of the best decks. It has one of the best going first boards that a lot of people can't out. So until that happens, I'm gonna keep playing that until this gets banned or something of that nature. So yeah. Really standard. The 2 Mercurier I did like though. It's not very as bricky at the 48 card build. So we have 2 Allure of Darkness. So this is why we are running the Mercurier in the extra darks, because we want to be able to always see a dark in order to resolve the Allure of Darkness. Someone get me another ulti, please. But Allure is really good in this deck because you're able to just power through hand traps, and you're able, when you see the Tragedy or the Mercurier, which you run 3 of, and then you run a lot of other darks, it's how you can unbreak your hand with the Dark Magician, because I was like, oh, I need a solution to get rid of Dark Magician in hand, because it really sucks hard drawing that card. But in this card really just, I think, solves a lot of the issues. I get less brick hands running this than I do just drawing this without a dark. That happens way less than the brick hands I would get without running this card, so I think it's worth it. Now, I think you also get to draw into non-engine really easily, so like running that 48 cards is pretty fine with this card. I think you guys should really try this out. It's really good because a lot of people are not on main deck draw right now, because Vanadium has, if you've noticed in the tournaments, have not been doing as well. So I mean, that's probably an issue with people, everyone siding Droll. That's why you can side these out. They make for great side outs. It makes the side patterns with this deck have been figured out. You have like a perfect 10 usually going second, depending. So it, like, if you need up to 10, and then it really so yeah, I would just work on that, guys. And the Lure Darkness is amazing. Really recommend it. Super good. You just have to be careful on your ratios. Make sure you're running enough dark, so do test hands with the deck. That's why I did this build as a blueprint for you guys. It works with these ratios. I've been testing it heavily. So 3 branded fusion, 3 opening, 1 lost, 1 red, 1 retribution. Honestly, there is not much to say about these cards. They're the standard 9, as you all know. Don't like branded and high spirits still. 3 Nadir Servant. For the non-engine helpers, I mean, this is technically engine. It's your way to play around Ash. If they Ash you, you go Nadir Servant, you send Garura, draw 1, summon Maximus, send Lulu, send Albion, and you basically have 1 card Gimmick Puppet as long as you have an out into Albaz. That's why I don't run the Boost Selfless anymore, because we just need the space to run the Garura and the Mud Dragon for the Super Poly. You just need the space. Like, even otherwise, like, I think it's just worth it, because you most likely have an into Albaz. Even if you don't, you can make a pretty good board with that. You just won't have the 1 card Gimmick Lock. But yeah, 3 deployment, because it's like one of the best cards in the deck. It's a starter, it's a board breaker, it's just nuts. 3 Super Poly. Speaking of nuts cards, this is the best card in the deck straight up. The amount of games I just went off this card is just stupid. So yeah, I've made a lot of people salty with this card, just breaking their board. Really good against Fire King, really good against Labyrinth, really good against Unchained. It's really good against Rescue Ace. I don't know, it's your answer for every deck. That's why I don't like playing 48 cards. If you see a development with this deck, it would be try to get to 45 so I can see this card more. However, with Super Power or Allure Darkness, we're able to draw into this card, and we still see it pretty often. But you know, that's why we run 3 other God cards. I mean, Gold Sark's not so much, but these 2 cards are amazing. You get to set up your Gimmick Puppet sometimes, but most of the time you're just saying Tragedy or Albion called by. I still love it every time it resolves. It's just incredible. And then Gold Sark just to start. And then also it's nice to search kit off of Gold Sark with Foolish, just in case you need like an Eluber, which you can't search off of Mercurier if you already have like Tragedy in your hand or something. So that's why I do like that. Also, I just don't like high spirits, so yeah, I mean, I still think kit is like warranted because of the Allure of Darkness. That's why we are running it. And then the thrust package, 3 thrust, 1 dupe, and 1 talents. These cards are just nuts. Every time they resolve, I just win the game. Hard drawing this card is pretty good. Now, a lot of people ask me, can you play branded without these cards? Certainly. You just have to make sure that you're running a good anti-Ash engine. Like, I have the 3 Nadir, I have these 5 cards, and then also a called by, so that's about 10 cards that gets around Ash just like inherently in the deck and push through it. So like, you have to make sure that you're playing like a pretty good amount. Like, make sure you're on crossouts, make sure you're on the Nadirs, make sure you're on talents. Any like combination of those cards I think really work. Just make sure you're doing I'd run the crossouts if you're on the hand trap package. I just think that this build is the best if you can't afford them. Thrust is just insane. This is the best deck with Thrust, because you can search out branded fusion or just like anything else like Farpy Feather Duster or evenly matched. Like, you guys will see the extensive side deck that I'm able to go into with Thrust. It's just this card should probably be banned. And talents just you need a talents in your deck no matter what, even if you aren't running thrust, because you need that ability to rip an Ash Nibiru. If you don't have the card, you will miss it and you will not be playing the deck correctly. There's just like that. So that's the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. 1 Mirror Jade, 2 Albion, 1 Lube, 1 Sanctifier, 1 Titan Clad, and 1 Rinbrom. Just all incredible cards. This is a super Empyrean Grave with Titan Clad. Titan Clad's really good to send. It's a really good send off in Nadir if you already like got Albion in the graveyard. And 1 Mirror Jade's just fine. It only sucks when you go against kashtira and like like they banish it, but that's a very rogue deck, so it doesn't really happen. Otherwise you're just looping it all day with Quem. And people just don't read cards, so like Quem, just like really lean into the Quem Mirror Jade plays. You can just loop it for days. And also remember Sanctifier. This card's amazing right now because everyone's making Barons, so you're just taking the freest Barons of your life basically. So that's like why it's fine to like side out the Gimmick Puppet, because you can just like well, that's the thing, but Sanctifier sets up your Gimmick Puppet. Obviously there's nothing to say about these cards that I haven't already said in my other deck profiles. The Despians, 1 Grand Guignol, 1 Quertus, 1 Lulu. I wish I could run a second Grand Guignol. I do miss it a lot of the time, but without duality, I don't think it warrants it. It's just like one of the best cards in the game. This card puts in the most legwork in the whole extra deck, because you're able to like set up follow up through Quertus in the graveyard, and then also you're able to set up Gimmick Puppet or Albion, and you're able to give Cartesia meaning, and then also Quertus. Lulu is nice to send off of basically just Nadir Servant. You don't ever hard make it. You sometimes send off a Grand Guignol. Remember, it can send a light. And then the non-engine ones, Grura, Muddragon, Stapelia, Dragoon, and Chimera. Red. This card's so good. You really have to make it. Sometimes you can just play Dragoon control with some decks because it just loses to it. You gotta remember that, guys. Like, this card is just so good. If you only have one option, Dragoon's pretty good. It's also your way to play around Shifter. That's why I like the Dark Magician deck, because if you get Shiftered, you can just go Dragoon, and then hopefully you have Lost, so you can search your Courier and have Lubellion on. You still have a few negates. And then Stapelia, you really do have to run it. Like, you don't make it sometimes, but like when you need it, you need it. And yeah, so because like sometimes they'll banish your Albaz when you have Albion, and you're like, oh, now I can only make Stapelia or something. Or also just like against certain decks, it's just like FTK like Sprite. So yeah, that's the extra deck. We're just going by fast with this one. Here is the Lightning Storm, the Dark Ruler, the Herald, the Duster, and another Lightning Storm for the board breakers, because I don't like to lose to Rescue Ace basically. And these two are basically my flex picks. It's like, this is really for Purrely, and this is for like Sprite decks that have been popping up and other things. Like, it's just really good. You want to have the Dark Ruler against Mannadium too. Mannadium is a tough matchup for this deck when you don't see Droll and you're going second and you lose die roll. So you want to have this card for that deck. And the Duster. These cards are amazing. I took out the Cosmic Cyclones for this card after Prooch, shout out to Prooch, was like, why are you playing Cosmic Cyclone? That card sucks. And it's like, yeah, it's basically just good going first against Runic and Centurion. Like, that's genuine, or like going second against Centurion still, but it's like those are still rogue decks. So like, these just hit Rescue Ace. This solves your Rescue Ace matchup. I'm not maining them because they suck going first. So I think we can just hard make Dragoon going first with Lost and usually win the Rescue Ace matchup. Otherwise, it's like pretty hard, but usually it's easy to get that to position. And this is a pretty extensive package. I really like it for Thrust. 1 Pankratops for the last board breaker. It's just really generic. It gets rid of Floodgates too. It's so good. Good for Sprite too. Other random decks. 3 Nibiru, 3 Droll. Like, I run these cards in every deck basically at this point. Whether it's in the side or main, you just need them. These are amazing going first cards. They're also amazing going second cards. So like, if you just get hand trapped to existence, if you're going first, you can have these cards in your pocket against like Purrely or something, and it's just amazing. Also going second, you just blow out Tearlament, like other things like that. Incredible cards. I need to get Hollow Drolls. Don't at me. And then kind of some new additions, I guess. One Alba, one Masquerade, and one Guilty Gear. So I needed to, like, I'm running Super Poly, so I want to have a Super Poly package. I just don't want to lose certain matchups, and the Guilty Gear completely covers the Manadia matchup. It completely clears the Infernal matchup. I wish I was maining it. This is the only one I wish I was maining out of these. Like, I wish I could main Alba too. I wish I could main all three of these. That's why I side them. So they're very good. Alba is very good against Dragon Link and like any other deck like Centurion and like any Bestial deck. It's extremely good against Bestial Runic. Amazing. This is just a blowout against Dragon Link, so I think that's why you need to run it essentially too. It's a free win when you play Dragon Link and you run this card, so it is what it is. It sucks when you lose die roll though, but like you can usually use this game 3 and surprise them with it and blow them out that way in Masquerade, which is just fine usually, because if they don't don't expect the Albalinatus in game 3 because they haven't seen it, they're just gonna fold. And Masquerade for time because we hate losing to time. And it's also really good to put your opponent on a timer. So like if you can't kill them or something, you go Masquerade, you know. It's just, I wanted to cover all my weaknesses with this deck essentially. That's what you guys will see. Like I have an out to everything essentially. Like the only thing I think I have weak is that I don't have a main deck out to like blowing up a stat 5 board. So like, but I think the hard make Dragoon really covers that. So like in the future you might see me main deck Harpy Feather Duster, and that's something you can always consider. So if you like the deck profile, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much for the 5,000 views on the last deck profile a few days ago. I'm going to keep up the branded content. Please like and subscribe. Really would appreciate it. We're on the road to 3,000. Lots of you guys watch the video. Make sure you subscribe. Very much appreciate it. So see you guys later. Have a good day.